Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today we've got a special video for you. We're going to be talking about the top 10 EDC knives. All right, you know, I know we usually do top 5 and top 10 gun videos, but in this case we've gotten some feedback from you guys. Y'all want to see some different knives. So we're going to show off a bunch of EDC capable knives here. Some of these are choices that Marshall here, Going Gear in Smyrna, Georgia. Some of the stuff that Marshall here selected kind of his personal favorites, and then some of these are favorites that some of his customers have, you know, purchased quite a few of over the years. So kind of getting a little bit of the customer's input as well. But we're going to put a little bit of a twist on this video. We're also going to try to guess. You know, I'm not really much of a knife person. I'm not quite as knowledgeable as Marshall is, and that's why we're up here at Going Gear, so that he can kind of, you know, show us some of these knives and talk about the features. But me, as the layman, he's going to teach me a little bit about these as we go, and I have to try to guess the price based on what I hold in my hand, the quality I see, just what I see in my hand. I have to guess how much these knives roundabout cost. So now we're going to add a little bit of that element of this video.
Sure, and when we talk about prices, we're going to say full retail. So, I mean, obviously, we sell most of these cheaper than what we're going to talk about, but we're just going to say the full retail price. And like you said, we're going to try to cover a bunch of different uses.
Okay.
So, different styles, different materials, different brands, and different prices. So, I mean, you start at pretty inexpensive all the way up to a pretty expensive knife.
Cool. All right, let's get started.
So ready to get started. So the first one we have here is the Benchmade Griptilian, which when people come in, they're like, hey, I want a nice knife, and that's the only qualification that they can give us. We say, hey, buy a Benchmade Griptilian. Okay. They have a ton of different variations. If you look at Benchmade's order list of all the different knives you can order and all the different variations, I swear the Griptilians are like half of that list because of how many different colors and the handles they make, how many different blade shapes, how many different sizes. Bunch of different variations.
Okay.
So like this one right here is one of their sheep's foot, or they call it, I think, the modified sheep's foot blade. But really nice lightweight design. So it's got the FRN handle, which is fiber reinforced nylon. So people pick it up and they say, hey, that feels cheap. And you're like, no, it's really lightweight and it's really durable. So it's a good material to make a handle out of. Great steels on them. They've got their axis locking system, which is an ambidextrous locking system. Super strong locking system. Nice. So it holds in there really well. So this is one of the smaller, lighter weight ones. We've also got a couple other ones in here, which are their newer G10 variations. So G10 is another material. They've got some nice color pops there on the back. So you got like the blue anodized backspacer and then some more blue in there. Really high-end steel. So you got 20 CV steel in here, which we'll stop there for just a second and talk about materials and steels and handles and that kind of stuff. All those things is what's going to make a lot of these price variations.
Okay.
So a $20 knife versus a $200 knife, chances are it's going to have a better fit and finish. It's going to have a better steel. You're going to start getting into things like titanium and carbon fiber for the handle materials.
Sure. So material costs.
Yeah,
more
material
expensive
costs.
materials.
You know, better machining, more complex machining versus a like a molded handle like this, something that's machined titanium and anodized titanium, and doing that kind of stuff is more expensive. So that's where you're going to see a lot of the price differences.
All right.
So this is the Benchmade Griptilian. Ton of different variations on it, a bunch of different sizes, blade coatings, half serrated, all kinds of different variations on it. So like I said, when somebody comes in and say, hey, I want a nice knife, we're like, this is a really good choice.
So kind of an industry standard when it comes to different knives and everything. So,
absolutely. You
know, mentioning the Griptilian, one thing that I want to mention about the layout here of knives that we have is that some of these are duplicates so that we can show you some variations of the same knife. So yes, this is a 10 knives video, but there are definitely more than 10 knives. And yes, there's always a wild card. You know our videos. I'm going to guess I'm going to venture to say, I know that Benchmades tend to be kind of expensive. I mean, they're kind of a, you know, mid to upper price range knife in terms of...
All made in America?
Yeah, all American made. I'd venture to say the little yellow Griptilians, what, like 80 bucks maybe?
The full retail is about $100. So
okay,
street price is about 80 bucks.
All right. The knife I'm holding, I'd venture to say add maybe 40 bucks to that.
Add about $100 actually.
Okay, so about all around 100 bucks, you know, suggested retail. So that's I was close.
Yeah.
Okay.
once you put in the discounts, then yeah, you get it a little bit closer.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like
cool.
the higher end steels, if you've ever gone to like a knife supply shop and you look at just the cost of a piece of steel that nothing's been done to it,
like a knife maker might buy or something.
It's dramatically different once you get to the higher cost of the knives. So when you get to the better steels and you see the more expensive prices on them, a big component of that is just those materials are expensive.
Well, you know, an interesting thing is you can also take that point and look at it from the standpoint of like a jeweler, somebody that makes you know, jewelry for a living or something. You know, you can go to a pawn shop and buy like raw gold that's scrap and loose diamonds and everything, but the cost to craft those materials into a finished product is what you're paying for. And a lot of people are insulted when they go to a pawn shop with a nice ring and they go, well, dang, you only want to give me X amount of dollars for my ring when I paid thousands of dollars for it. But what the pawn shops want to realize is like the raw materials is what they're looking at, not the cost to customize it. So I can definitely see that.
Right, so you got a lot of different factors that play into the price.
Sure. So moving on to number 2.
Number 2 is another Benchmade. This is what we recommend to anybody looking for a lightweight, backpacking, lightweight carry kind of knife. I mean, this thing weighs maybe about an ounce. So that's the Benchmade. We've got the 530 BK. So that's the black coated one, and then we also got the 531. So the 530 is another FRN handle, and then you've got G10, I believe, on this one. A couple different handle materials on there, but both really super lightweight, really slim. So you've got a super sleek profile in there. And you've got this lightweight material, but you can see they've got stainless steel liners in there to help give it some structural rigidity. So you still have strength, you still have the axis lock, but you've got super lightweight, super slim carry.
You know, I was kind of taken aback. When I picked up these particular knives, I was very impressed at the lightweight and how slim they are. And, you know, honestly, out of a lot of the ones that we've been looking at, this is a kind of knife that I can gravitate to because I like something that's slim and non-obtrusive and doesn't really take up a lot of room in terms of, you know, real estate inside of your pocket when you're carrying it. It's got a reasonably strong clip on it. I've never bought one. I've never priced them like this, but I would imagine probably around 100.
Yeah, so like full retail, you're looking at 125 and 155.
Okay, so definitely a little bit higher up on there, but you know, it's one of those things like, you know, I noticed the spline is really thin, and it's a very thin blade. So I guess that to keep that compact, they have to kind of keep that, and to keep it light, they have to keep that, it slim, you know.
Size and weight were definitely a concern when they were designing this. That's a Mel Pardue design.
I really like that knife right there. That one might have to go home with me. Cool knife. All right, so moving on to number 3.
That's my true intention on making these videos, is getting him to buy knives.
I understand. I understand.
So the next one we have here is one of the most popular Spydercos that we have is the ParaMilitary 2. So this is an in-house design. So when I say in-house design, the father and son, Sal and Eric Glesser, the owners of Spyderco, this is one of their designs, and it's really popular. It uses their compression lock, which is a locking system on the back of the knife. Super, super strong locking system. Takes a little bit of getting used to. You know, a lot of people are used to the locks on this side of the knife, but it's easy to open, easy to close. Nice steel on it, made in America. It's a cool design, really strong locking system. So this is another one that's been really popular for us.
You know, I would venture to say, you know, I've handled a lot of, you know, random Spydercos and everything like that. Around 100?
Couple $100 full retail.
Oh, okay, so I'm way off there.
Again, that's full retail, so that's not what most people are going to be paying for it.
I got you. Now, that's a really cool knife, though. It is very easy to open. I've always found myself kind of not liking those kind of like circles, whatever you, I guess, to the assisting aspect of it. Yeah, Spidey hole or whatever, spider hole. I found myself kind of not liking that, but that's typically a very Spyderco-like feature. A lot of the Spydercos have the hole on it, you know, and I could see where you could get used to that. Have to be honest, though, not my favorite. Out of the ones we've looked at, but I can see where that would be a popular option for people. You know, it is rigid. That lockup is nice.
It's nice and comfortable. It's a good design.
Reasonably good piece of steel. You know, I guess in terms of quality construction.
Absolutely.
You got a good quality blade on there. You know,
S30V, so it's one of the higher end steels. Great edge retention, great corrosion resistance.
So, you know, very quickly, we'll touch on just different steels and stuff. I know that's a very big factor in the cost of a knife is the quality of the steel you're using. And then each of those steels have their own merits and flaws depending on what you're looking for. You know, you can get something really like high-end and custom like a Damascus blade or something like that. But then when it comes to just general knives, you know, sometimes you're gonna lose a little bit of edge retention, but you'll gain a little bit of corrosion resistance. So like kind of finding that happy medium of corrosion resistance and good edge retention. That's pretty much the name of the game.
Yep, edge retention and corrosion resistance are the two big things that I personally look for, and those are the two things that you get a lot better in as you get into the higher end steels.
Sure.
And also, they can make the steels harder without them being brittle.
Gotcha.
So you can make a really hard steel on there and a really hard blade and a really hard edge that'll sharpen, it'll keep an edge, it'll take an edge without chipping. So I mean, when you're actually using it, you know, when they've got the secondary bevel on here where they do the actual cutting edge, you get kind of thin down in there. So if you're cutting something and you're cutting a piece of wood and you hit a nail or a knot or something like that, you don't want it to be so hard that it's brittle that when it gets stressed, it fractures.
And you can probably look at those knives that have been used a lot under like a really bright light and maybe with a jeweler's loupe and really see those little minor imperfections. So that's definitely something interesting to note there. All right, so moving along to number 4, which out of the ones we've handled, the number 4, I kind of liking it too.
Yeah, it's when people are looking for like a heavy duty, hard use folder, this is one of the first ones we point them to. Is the Benchmade Adamas. Shane Seibert. I know the guy and I always mess up his name, so I apologize if he sees this video. But man, this is about one of the stoutest knives that we sell. I think this is actually, when it came out, it was Benchmade's strongest locking knife as far as like how much stress it could take and when the lock would fail. It was like, I want to say 800 pounds is when it failed.
So way more than the average person would ever use it.
Absolutely. So this is kind of the opposite of what we looked at earlier, where the lighter weight stuff, this one is made to be just a hard use, heavy duty, designed for the Rangers type of design.
I really like that knife a lot.
Yeah, so you still have the axis lock, you still have that really strong locking system. You're starting to get into a thicker blade, you're starting to get into a thicker handle, you know, just big burly materials and mechanics, and definitely not lightweight. I mean, honestly, you're not going to notice it when it's in your pocket. I mean, it's got to be like a 3-pound knife for you to really notice it when it's clipped to your pocket. But when you're holding it, you can definitely feel the difference between it and some of the ones we've already talked about.
Yeah, no doubt. It's definitely a burly, big, heavy-duty knife. And I would imagine just, you know, knowing that Benchmade makes some really high-end stuff, I would say a knife like this, at least a couple $100.
Yeah, $220 is full retail on it.
Okay, close enough. I really like that knife a lot. I mean, it just feels substantial.
Yeah.
You know, it has the rigidity and feel of a fixed blade knife.
Sure.
Which, you know, when it comes to knives, I tend to gravitate more to the fixed blade stuff. That's more my preference. Now, obviously, on an EDC or, you know, everyday carry type arrangement, obviously a folder is going to be a little bit more preferable because of the ease of concealment. And I'll tell you what, if you're wanting like that kind of, you know, hard use, fixed blade type rigidity, but in a folder, to me, that knife's a winner. That's definitely a knife that's going home with me.
So since this was designed for the Rangers, you know, a lot of these guys are wearing them on vests or on belts or things like that. This is one of the very few pocket knives that we sell that actually comes with a sheath. So this thing comes with a nice nylon sheath that's made MOLLE compatible.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a knife that's made to fit in a sheath, then this is one of your very few options.
I dig it. That's cool. You know, and definitely, you know, priced reasonable too. I mean, when you look at some of the kind of like mid to expensive range of just fixed blade knives, I mean, in my opinion, you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a folder, but you're getting some good rigidity. I mean, no knife is truly intended to be a prying tool per se or anything like that. You should never use a knife to pry things. But let's face it.
We all do it.
Let's face it. We do it. We all do it. So that's definitely a winner in my book.
Yeah. And it's actually using D2 tool steel instead of stainless that you're going to see on the rest of these models. So it's not quite as corrosion resistant, but you get a really tough, great edge retention on there, and it can handle some serious abuse without failing.
Good deal. All right, so moving on to number 5.
So the next one we have is kind of a budget offering that's still one of our most popular knives and one of my favorite, especially in the kind of $20, $30 range, and I just messed up your price estimate.
That's okay.
So you can guess between $20 and $30 how much it is.
I'm guessing. You know, I probably would have put that together. That couldn't have been more than $50.
Yeah,
I would have said maybe like $50.
Full retail is like $30 on this thing, but it's the Kershaw Shuffle. And there's actually a Shuffle 2, which is a little bit larger style, but it's a really nice compact folder. You got a nice big lanyard attachment point on there. You've got the pocket clip. You got a bottle opener. I mean, come on. Yeah, come on. How great is that? And it's lightweight, and it's a locking knife. You know, the classic case style knives where you've got the slip joints on there.
Sure.
A lot of people expect that when you kind of go to the less expensive knives, but this actually is a locking knife. It's got a liner lock in there. It's not going to be a super high-end steel. You know, you don't have titanium and carbon fiber, but
it's 30 bucks.
Yeah, it's really inexpensive, and you know, it makes a great beater knife if you're not.
Yeah.
So we had a doctor in here earlier, right? And he was in here in scrubs, and he was like, "Man, I lose knives all the time." So he has 2 different knives that he buys when he comes in. He comes in and he gets like a Kershaw Shuffle kind of thing, and then he gets a nice knife. So when he's not wearing his scrubs, when he's not at the hospital, he has the nicer knife. But this one, if you're the kind of person that loses a lot of knives, this is a good option. Or if you're on a budget, this is a good option. Or if you want just a nice, inexpensive knife, the Kershaw Shuffle is a great little knife.
I agree. You know, a lot of people are prone to losing knives. And I'll tell you what, this is one of those knives that seems to me like it's just got so many little intricate uses that are kind of built into it. You got a flat edge there that you can, you know, we all do it. Okay, don't say you don't do it. A lot of us use our knives to like tighten little screws or pop little things or move things around. So
that's actually made for it.
Exactly. It's actually made for it, and you got a bottle opener. So that is a clever design. I think that they really kind of put a lot of thought into just coming up with something that's reasonably priced but yet packed full of features. And heck, for the money, that's definitely a winner there.
They've got a bunch of different color options, which is the other nice thing.
Perfect.
So some female-friendly colors. You add in purple and green.
It kind of has the utility of the Mora. I really like the little Mora knives a lot. You guys probably remember when we did EDC month, we actually bought a whole bunch of Moras to send out to you guys, a stainless steel, and they have their own little like Kydex sheaths and everything. A Mora is a great utilitarian knife. Of course, it's not in this lineup. However, I did hint to it, so I guess it's kind of made it like a little sneaky appearance there. So moving on to number 6.
Well, we only went with folding knives, so maybe we'll do another one.
We'll have to do another one for fixed ones later. That's the beauty. There's so many different knives, so we're sticking to folders, but we're moving on to number 6.
And that was the assumption for this video: is the typical EDC knife is, you know, something that you can fold and put in your pocket. Where, you know, a lot of my employees actually carry fixed blades. So if you want to carry fixed blade on a daily basis, absolutely.
You certainly can. But in the spirit of the video, we're sticking to folders.
We're sticking to folders.
Absolutely.
So the next one's actually one of my favorites. So this is the Zero Tolerance 0450. We got a couple of different variations. So this was the first one. It's a Dmitry Sinkovich design. Zero Tolerance had been known for a really long time for big, burly, heavy-duty, just big chunkers of knives. And this is one of the first ones that they've made that's just super sleek, super compact, but still has the material, still has the fit and finish, and still has everything that can make it a hard-use folder.
Sure.
So you've got nice titanium on there, you've got really nice steel on there, so these are S35VN. This one right here is actually ZDP 189, so this is a limited edition version that they did. And you got carbon fiber on this side, you've got titanium on this side, and just a crazy, really nice steel with the ZDP 189. Great edge retention. This is probably one that I shouldn't include in the video because it's limited, and somebody's going to watch this in a year and be like, "Dude, I can't buy that knife from you." I'm like,
exactly.
"Oh, sorry."
And it's almost kind of a little brother to the knife that I carry on a regular basis, and this one is a kind of a drop point design that's a little larger, obviously, in size. That model number on that one is
C566.
Yeah, 566. I see that now.
Yeah.
But I really like this knife a lot. I mean, it's got nice. It's not overly large or small. You know, so it's just kind of a good medium-sized kind of knife, and I really like the ZTs a lot. And when I saw that initial knife, it really jumped out to me as being kind of a little brother to the knife that I actually carry. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you've got ball bearings in there, super smooth flipping action.
Yeah.
So most of Benchmade's lineup these days, actually, I can't think of any of the new ones that are not flippers. So that's kind of where we see the market going, and that's why you see a lot of flippers out here.
Sure.
And they do nice little touches. So like on the back, you've got the red back spacers.
Nice.
On this one, you've got the blue back spacers. There's another carbon fiber version which has green back spacers. Just cool little touches on them. Really
a
nice
little subtle hint.
Yeah, nice little color pops. And I'm a knife guy. I don't change my EDC very often. And this is actually one of my EDC knives. I carried it for about 6 months straight, the original black coated version. And when this came out, we just got these in about a week ago. This one actually took its place because ZDP 189 is just such a fun steel. It's really hard to sharpen, but the flip side of that is that it holds an edge for a crazy long time.
Probably good corrosion resistance.
Yeah, great corrosion resistance on both these steels. So this is one of my favorites out of all the ones we have out here.
You know, also too, like on the ZTs, one thing that I like about the way these particular knives are set up is like, yeah, you're gonna get little dust bunnies in the mechanism and everything. These knives are so easy to just take like compressed air and just blow them out and clean them. What I typically will do if I'm cleaning a bunch of gun parts in the you know, ultrasonic or something, I'll just drop it in and just let it go for a little bit and then just spray it down with like either WD-40 or just some type of oil and then just hose it out with the air nozzle, and it's generally just fine. So that's a great little knife right there. We're gonna move on to number 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Number 7. Now this is a knife that intrigues me quite a bit. I'm going to let you kind of tell them a little bit. Oh, and I didn't try to guess the price on the other ones. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So I would say like maybe $225, $250 on those, because I know the ZTs are kind of pricey.
Yep. So full retail on the limited one is $300. So
Okay.
street price is going to be significantly less than that. The regular carbon fiber one was, I think, $220, and then this one was $200.
So that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So yeah, street price is obviously lower than that. So the next one we have is one that won an award. It just came out a couple months ago. So this is the CRKT Homefront, designed by Ken Onion.
Cool,
Even if you're not in the knife world, you've probably heard the word Ken Onion, or you've probably heard the name Ken Onion. He makes some really cool mechanisms and designs. He has a bunch of patents under his belt. If you look at his list of accomplishments, you're like, wow, he's done a lot of things that are really good and really important for the knife industry. And the Homefront is one of those new mechanisms that you're like, man, that's actually pretty cool. You're like, it might be a gimmick, but then you actually try it out and no, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it has what they call field trip technology. So you have this bar right here that you flip over, and then you've got this wheel on the back that you unscrew, and this thing, without any tools, without any wrenches or anything like that, you can actually fully take it apart. So you can take this thing entirely apart. So you know, you're field dressing something, you drop it in the mud, you drop it in the sand. Having things in the pivot and having things in the lock can be kind of hard to clean out. Well, not with this one. Just take it and rinse it off in a stream or under a faucet.
You know, a lot of people that are gun people tend to be the sort of people that like to take things apart and clean them and get every little crack and crevice clean. And when he showed me the ability of that knife to be field stripped, that is just so cool. And I can't tell you how many times as a knife owner, and I'm not even like a next level knife owner. I mean, you know, Marshall being kind enough to kind of help educate me on some of these types of things is really cool. But prior to this video, I mean, if let's say that, for instance, I had a random knife and something came loose and it fell apart, I'd panic and be like, throw it in a box and send it back and have them like try to put it back together. But it's so cool to know that there's a knife like that you can field strip very easily and clean. That is such an ingenious idea, and I really like what he did with that. And let's say that you damage your blade or something's all messed up, but you know how it is. People get something and they wear it all the time, and that clip gets worn in just right, and they're happy with it. They could, in theory, get a replacement blade and just drop it right on and done. You know,
speaking of that, I'm really excited to see where they take this technology. They already talked about a blade making different designs with this technology, and even giving you the ability to possibly in the future swap out the blade like you were talking about.
Yeah, you could run like a straight razor or like a Skinner or whatever you want.
I mean, that's such a cool concept that I'm really excited to see where they go with this. And even though you can completely take it apart, the only thing you really have to pay attention to is there's a couple little washers in there. You have to make sure it don't fall out and don't lose them.
Sure.
But they hold in there pretty well. And, you just saw me take it apart, and still, it flips great. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed with that. I would say retail-wise, maybe $150 to $200.
$150 is full retail on it.
Okay, cool. That's about right. I have to say that is a very impressive piece of hardware right there. I like that knife a lot. I mean, and that's coming from somebody, I'm not wholly a knife person, I was relying in this video on Marshall to kind of, give me some insight on stuff that his customers like and what he likes. I mean, I have an idea of what I like, but my opinion on knives is kind of narrow compared to something, a guy like him where he's just dealt with so many. So that's definitely an awesome one there. So moving along to number 8.
So the next one we have in here is the Boker Mini Kwaiken, designed by Lucas Burnley. This is something that we recommend for somebody that's looking for just a super sleek kind of gentleman's carry, really clean. There's not engraving, there's not a bunch of anodizing, a bunch of different colors. It's just simple. A really clean, sleek, simple knife, and it's a flipper. So you've got a ball bearing system in there, so it just flies out. This is the Mini Kwaiken. There's a full-size Kwaiken that's a little bit larger. They also have some different handle materials, so you can get carbon fiber. This is titanium. You can get G10 on there as well. So a bunch of different options, and just a really nice, sleek, clean knife, which I kind of go for these days. I really like just the clean, minimalist look.
I agree.
And this is a really good example of that.
You know, I do like the way that this knife, you know, when it's folded, it's very compact and lightweight and has a low profile. And to me, that's something that's a very attractive trait in a knife. That's one of the reasons I like this little guy down here, you know, because of the slim size and everything like that. A knife like that, I would imagine, in my, you know, unlearned opinion, I would say something like that, maybe around 100, 125.
190 is full retail.
Okay, so I'm off the mark there.
But again, full retail, so street price is going to be less than that.
I like the way that spline kind of tapers a bit, and you've got that very deliberate point, and it's a thick blade. It feels like it's very substantial. So that's neat. So I was a little bit off the mark on that one.
Another nice thing about getting like the clean titanium is there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. There's a lot of people out there that are doing anodizing on it and engraving on it, and you know, doing custom hardware and stuff like that. And when you have that clean, simple design, that makes all that kind of stuff a lot easier.
Lots of real estate there to you know, add logos and engraving and other things.
Do groomsmen gifts and that kind of stuff.
And that's cool too. You know, a lot of people at a hobbyist level might do that. The same type of guy that might buy a junker handgun or a junker rifle and fix it up. Maybe they do their own stock checkering, or, you know, their own stock refinishing or metal refinishing. So I can kind of see that paralleling a little bit into the knife world, where people like to customize knives. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. So that was choice number 8. We're moving on to number 9.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So this is the Benchmade 940. This is another one of my very favorite designs. It's one of their flagship designs. Like when you talk about Benchmade, a lot of people immediately think of the Griptilian or the 940 right here. So you've got that axis lock on there. You've got that really strong lock on there. There's a few different versions of it. So this is the newest one. This is the G10 version.
I love that green.
Yep. So you got that green pop there on the back spacers.
Zombie knife.
Yep. Yep. And it's really lightweight. You've got, again, that sleek, clean, minimal look, really lightweight, really easy to carry. Sure. So this is the G10 version. There's also an aluminum version that has a green handle, and then we have the carbon fiber version as well, which is my favorite. A lot of people, the first time they pick this up, they're like, "Holy crap, that's so lightweight!" I mean, this thing weighs next to nothing for a good-sized blade. You've got a bunch of real estate there on the blade. You've got that strong locking system. And they've got the blue accents on the back there instead of the green. Yeah, that is a really wicked knife. I like, and like you said, the lightweight. You don't really think about it. Like, you look at that, and if it's just sitting on the table, you pick it up, you expect it to be heavier. And of course, the carbon fiber is going to definitely set that weight off a good bit. I would imagine the strength is definitely still there, though, in terms of you know, how rigid this thing is when it's open. That's, I suppose, a big thing. You don't want to go using a knife and have it, like, I guess, collapse on you or something stupid like that with heavy use. I would say, just due to the accents, and especially this one being a carbon fiber knife, I would imagine the price on this one probably like $250. $325 is full retail. Okay, so I was a little off the mark. Street price brings it down close to that. But I was right, kind of being a little on the higher end of the spectrum on that. Yeah. So definitely not an inexpensive knife by any stretch of the imagination. But honestly, when that one came out, you know, we had this one in the case right next to the aluminum one, and people would come in and be like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to pay that much," and then they pick it up, and then that's the one they always end up buying. How much less expensive are the aluminum ones? The aluminum one, I want to say, is a couple $100. So I mean, significantly less. See, there's definitely a difference in the price there. We overwhelmingly sell most of the carbon fibers. Although now that the 940-2 with the G10 has come out, our sales have kind of gone 50-50. So we've seen a lot of sales shift over here because you know, you still get the lightweight, you get the kind of cool machining on there, and you still get the color accents. Which, you let's get the face color accents. Cosmetics matter to some small degree. Absolutely, you know? Absolutely. If you're going to carry it every day, you might as well like the way it looks. I agree. And this is a Warren Osborne design, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And he was a really big part of the knife community and had some really great designs. So this is one of his last designs that they had at Benchmade. So this is a Warren Osborne design, the 940s from Benchmade.
You can definitely tell that there's some love put into that design, you know. And so a lot of these knife designs, and one of the things you have to remember, and that's even coming from me, is not even being like that much of a knife person. But one of the things you have to remember is a lot of these knives are designed by people that just love knives. So
absolutely,
you're going to get a lot of that. You know, it's not just some superficial thing that some guy's trying to turn a buck. I mean, a lot of these companies, they're really putting a lot of thought into designing something that they know other knife enthusiasts are going to like, because it's made by somebody who's a knife enthusiast. So that's very important. We're going to move on to number 10. Now, these Rikes here, we were looking at these, and I tell you what, these knives are wicked awesome.
Right. So we've shown some other made in China designs up here.
Sure.
But they're made in China as per the specifications of an American company. So a lot of times American companies, when they make the, they have China make the designs, they're making the not as high of quality stuff. They're making a lot of molded handles and not the nicest steel, because they make the really nice stuff in the US in their factories.
Sure.
Well, Rike is actually a Chinese company. So they're a Chinese company. They make the knives in China, but they're like, hey man, these are our knives. They have our name on them. We're going to make some super nice, super high-end stuff in China. And that's really exciting to see, because we kind of saw that in the flashlight world. And a lot of people are like, made in China. But then you meet these guys, and they're just, they're like you or me. They're people making stuff to provide for themselves, take care of their family. And they're all super nice, super humble people. So I like the stuff that's coming from overseas. There's some other, like Lion Steel and Fox in Italy. There's some good international companies out there for sure. But Rike is exciting because you're starting to see some really high-end stuff from China. So we have a couple of different designs here. This one right here is their 1507, and
that's a wicked neat knife.
They're doing such cool machining, such cool anodizing. So you've got these really striking titanium handles on there. You've got the two-toned anodizing, which, I mean, you've got the blue accents, you've got the purple on this one. On this one, you've got the green and the blue. And, man, they just look cool.
Yeah, they do.
They're different. They're still really clean and sleek-looking knives. Great flipping action on them. Really nice material, so they're using S35 VN on the steel. So it's nice to see some overseas stuff just becoming the super high-end and giving us some competition, giving Americans some competition.
An interesting thing about this knife, and one of the things that I noticed when I picked it up at first, I do a lot of fishing as well, and I really like a nice fishing reel.
Sure.
There's nothing better than an awesome fishing reel that's put together really well. And you look at some of the like Shimano designs, and they have that really kind of edgy lines in the reel and the way they make it and the ergonomics of the fishing reel. The ergonomics of this knife, and down to the way that the clip is designed and the way that the locking mechanism's designed, it reminds me very much almost of like a high-end fishing reel.
Sure.
It has that kind of feel to it, which is just really random. Why can't I do that with my finger? There we go. But that is just a wicked knife, and that was one thing that struck me as being an initial feature I noticed is it almost has like that high-end Japanese fishing reel feel to it. Do you get that?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's something that, you don't see with a lot of the designs that we're used to from, we talked about a lot of companies that are really well known, and I still love and I still like the stuff that they make, but it's something that's different. It looks different, it feels different.
Agreed.
So it's really nice to see just something different in the market.
Yeah, I agree.
We sell 1,000, 1,500 different knives, so having something come in that's out of the norm for those is really exciting. And they still make, they have these designs in the black coatings and the satin finishes and stuff like that, but I like seeing stuff like this because it looks cool. It's
definitely a striking knife. I mean, you pull that out of your pocket and show it to somebody, they're going to be like, wow, that's a really interesting piece of cutlery. And, being as a kind of guy that, I'm not really like super into cutlery, it's something that when I see that, I think like, wow, that is a really cool knife.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one thing about these super slim knives, you're talking about why it wasn't opening, is the lock bar. So a lot of people are used to holding the knives where their fingers are right here. When you're pushing on the lock bar, it makes it really difficult to open. So you have to get used to kind of dropping your fingers down a little bit or putting them on the pocket clip, and then it makes it fire open.
All right, well, there's 10. Now, anytime we do a top 10, I know this video's been a little bit long, but we always have a wild card in every single video. So there was our top 10, and I know it wasn't 10 knives, but show us our wild card.
Top 17 or how many?
Our top 17, yeah.
So this is from one of our flashlight companies. It is the MecArmy EK33, and as far as we know, it's the smallest titanium flipper on the market. And this thing has a blade length of around 1 inch, and it's just a tiny little flipper knife. It actually has an S35 VN blade, so this super high-end steel. It's a titanium, you know, you got a titanium frame lock on there. It's just fun. It's something cool, and it actually comes with a little Kydex sheath. One of my favorite things about it is the case that it comes in. The packaging is actually a machined aluminum container.
That's useful.
Yeah, you can put like a survival kit in here or something like that, and they have I don't even know what this piece of leather is for, cleaning it or something, but just some nice touches that they put on this knife. And it's definitely something that when I got the literature on it and they're like, hey, do you want to order some of these? I was like, that looks really cool. Yeah, I'll absolutely order some. I'm really bad about not paying attention to all the fine details and the specifications.
Yeah, like
and stuff
you see
like
the
that.
specs and it's like, you know, you don't realize how tiny it is.
I don't realize that you didn't get the scale. Then when it came in, I was like, that is way smaller than I expected. But it's really neat. It's a really neat little knife. It's Mech Army is making some really cool keychain type lights. So seeing stuff like this from them is just exciting.
You know, and it's crazy too. Just judging by the fact that you mentioned like titanium. Oh, and I didn't try to guess the price on the Rike. I would say that just by what I'm seeing, definitely probably in like $400 or $500 range.
Yeah, you're at about $400 for this.
So that's definitely on the upper end in terms of price on a knife. I mean, but the features are definitely there in terms of cool factor. This little guy, I would imagine, just due to the fact that you said really high quality blade, and then you said titanium, all of that sounds really expensive. Yep. And anytime you're talking small, that means that probably you have to have a little bit more skill to make it. I'd say probably a couple $100 for something like that.
$160 is full retail on that.
Yeah. But I mean, this is kind of a knife for the knife person that has everything.
Right.
I mean, let's face it.
Right.
This is one of those things that you're not going to like use this really.
Right.
I mean, it's just a novelty, but it's still awesome. And you know, even in the gun world, there's a lot of these examples out there of like little miniature guns that gunsmiths will make these little itty bitty mini guns. And of course, they're not used for anything. You know, some of them do fire actual like special made blanks and everything, but it's just, I think, the appreciation of gun making that drives some of these guys to make these little miniature replicas of these guns. So just in the same fashion, you got a guy that loves folding knives. This is a great way to just appreciate it. It's sort of a nod to the folder, you know.
And it's kind of funny, the touches that they put on it. You know, we talked about, I can't remember in this video, maybe it's another video, we talked about a lock bar insert. This thing actually has a lock bar insert, so
like you're going to be flipping it a million times.
Right. On like the new zero tolerances and a lot of the other high-end knives where they have titanium handles wearing against stainless steel. Titanium soft, stainless steel is not, especially when it's properly hardened, so it can wear down and actually cause the lock to start disengaging eventually. You know, you're talking about after 1,000 flips or whatever.
Yeah.
So they actually put a little stainless steel lock bar insert in there to help prevent that. Which, I mean, on this thing, it's like a
feature that's almost not necessary, but like they just thought, why not?
Right, but it's such a cool little touch. So they had a lot of nice little touches and just really cool machining on it. And the case and the Kydex sheath, they put a lot of thought into this, and I was really impressed. I like what they did with this.
That's pretty dang neat right there. You know, that's something else, you know. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I know that we covered a lot of different stuff. I know there's a lot of knives here to look at and everything, but we hope that you saw the spirit of this video being what it was. We wanted to cover some EDC folders that we thought you guys would enjoy. Some of these are Marshall's favorites. Some of them are ones that I'm familiar with to a degree. Many of them are ones that his customers come in and request on a regular basis. So maybe if you're in the market for an EDC knife, this will give you a bit of an idea of what's out there and what the most common things are that people are looking for when it comes to an EDC blade. EDC as a subject matter in general hasn't really gone anywhere. It's always been there, and the desire and need has always been here, you know, throughout history and throughout, you know, how people are when it comes to carrying things on them on a regular basis. We find that when there's always a run on guns and everything, like when there's like right now the elections are happening and everything, so people are buying guns, people are focusing on personal protection and having a firearm that they can always have on them all the time for protection. You find also that in the knife world, it tends to mirror the same thing. You know, guys are buying guns, but then they're wanting like a cool knife to go along with their carry gun, maybe a flashlight, which leads us into one of the next videos we're going to be making. We're going to take the same concept, but we're going to break down a whole bunch of different EDC flashlights that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So definitely want to take a moment to thank you for your time, Marshall.
Absolutely.
You know, this kind of stuff takes effort to put together and a lot of thought. So thank you for your time and for letting us come up here and check out some of your stuff. And guys, make sure you check out Going Gear on YouTube here. If it's actually, what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Going Prepared.
Going Prepared, okay.
Yep.
But if you search Going Gear on YouTube,
We'll come up.
yeah, they'll pop right up. But he has a lot of detailed videos on cutlery and knives and just different things like that that you can check out that go into a lot more detail than what we did in this particular video. This was just meant to be kind of, hopefully, a somewhat quick look at some of these options. So be sure to check them out if you want to see more.
I get told that I go too far.
Well, that's okay though. I mean, some people are details kind of people when
Absolutely.
it comes to, you know, this type of stuff. But hopefully everything made sense to you. Let me know if you like this idea. Also, let me know if you don't like this idea. You know, we don't really do a lot of stuff with cutlery and gadgets and flashlights on this channel, but we're trying to kind of, you know, because I realize that there's an importance to that area of ownership. You know, when you own a gun, you're typically going to have a flashlight, a knife. I mean, those things go hand in hand. So in order for us to be kind of a fully faceted gun channel, I feel it's important to also include some cool gadgets and knives and things like that. So let me know if you like this idea, if you like this concept. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.